Hi friends, welcome again to the Singer Studio. So today we are going to be talking about the famous Caruso scale. I feel it's important for me to make this video because this is a very important scale for opera singers to study. And when I looked on YouTube, I saw several other videos being talking about this scale. And honestly, I don't think they were giving very good advice. Now, this maybe get me into trouble with some of my colleagues. There are excellent educators on YouTube who talk about vocal technique and who talk about vocal development, and there are terrible ones. This is not an exercise that a pop singer should sing. And there's a video out there I saw this morning with over 20,000 views where the so-called teacher performs the scale completely incorrectly. What is the Caruso scale? Caruso was an opera singer, 1873 to 1921, one of my heroes. He was the greatest tenor, probably, of them all. He was the guy that really introduced a new way of singing. As Puccini and his other veristic composers were composing their music, Caruso came along, and in essence, his larynx was a little bit lower than other singers. So he developed this darker, richer sound. Even though he started out as a lyric tenor, it was a fuller, richer sound because he was having a lower laryngeal position. We can hear other singers that were before Caruso. There's recordings of them as well, Bonci, Tamagno, and they sang with even Tamagno, that great Helden tenor, the first Otello, sang with a slightly lifted position. And Caruso wrote a book, co-wrote a book, and he talks about, I believe in the book, it's been a while since I've read that particular book, scale, and this scale has become known as the Caruso scale. It's probably one of the most sung scales in the world. I personally have known many singers who have sung in many great opera houses that have only ever sung the Caruso scale. Now, the purpose of the scale is laryngeal placement and tone freedom and pharyngeal freedom. So that's why I had to make the video, because people were making the video and just simply singing the vowels and not understanding why they're important to these vowels. When us singers teach darker vowels like ahs and awls, it's because we gently want to introduce a lower laryngeal placement into the singer's technique. Why is that important? Well, you've got vocal folds, you've got vocal tracts, and if you have them sort of there, so they're not really fully stretched, the cricothyroid and the rhinothyroid, all these parts of the laryngeal instrument aren't fully engaged. Yeah, ha, ha. You're going to sing like a pop singer because they're not fully engaged. Think of your vocal cords like a guitar string. If you pull the guitar string and so it's taut and you ping, you get a lovely, strong, resonant sound, a higher sound, of course, because it's vibrating at a high frequency. You can think of the pharynx, the resonator, the primary resonator, as the acoustic guitar box. Now, to get the larynx to be fully extended, it has to go forward and tilt. There is a Spanish tenor who has a wonderful YouTube channel here where he talks a lot about this. There is another Spanish tenor called Ars Technica, a wonderful channel. They talk about these things. Opera singers understand this, and opera teachers understand this, because only when you get your larynx working optimally can you make your best sound. And of course, the more forward it tilts, the lower it is, the more operatic you sound. There are various vocal schools that developed, like the Melocchi method, which is a vocal school pioneered by a man called Arturo Melocchi, who talked of getting the larynx to be as low as it possibly can do. Why is that important? Well, we have something where we sing called passaggi, passages between registers. When you go from one register to another, you go through this passage. And a lot of singers find trouble going, especially in the sort of higher passaggio, because their larynx isn't in an optimal position as they approach the top of that register. So they have to have like a big gear change. When the larynx is sitting low all the while, that gear change sort of disappears and the passaggio suddenly doesn't become important because you're always singing in a lower laryngeal position. There isn't the need to change so much the laryngeal position. Even singers like Pavarotti that weren't really schooled in the Melocchi technique said that he always sang in a so-called covered position from high C to low C. So yeah, this is an exercise which will gently lead a student into a lower laryngeal position. And as I said, there's so many cliches. Singers are always taught to sing at 50 miles an hour, always to sing in a certain position so that you don't have this difficulty changing. Well, if you do the Caruso scale, you are encouraging yourself to sing in that position all the while. So what is the Caruso scale? It's a 9-note scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, da 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 da. And we choose vowels R, O, and U. We choose these vowels because the R is a neutral vowel. Ah. We can sing it without a particularly lowered larynx. We can sing with a lowered larynx. We can sing with a higher larynx. But we can breathe into the low position. We can engage the SCM muscles, open the throat, lower the larynx, and go ah. We're in a nice position. Then when we go to the O, we are slightly deepening and leaning forward our vocal tract. Now I'm in a slightly lower position there. This is my version. I know different versions exist of the Caruso scale when they change vowels. I like to go and then I like to change on the 9th note. It's just what I like to do. It's still the Caruso scale. So you can see that I'm deepening and lengthening and making more forward my laryngeal position as I go through it. Now, this is the important thing. You don't just sing the vowels. You sing the vowels as they should be sung. So you can see that as I go from the R, as I go to the O, and as I go into the U, my larynx goes further down, and I'm getting a healthier, more abducted, more tauter laryngeal position, still with freedom. Several things to note. It has to bloom in the pharynx. Now, if you're going to use the root of your tongue to change these vowel positions, if you are going to be, you can sort of get the right vowel and you can feel that you're deepening, but what you're actually doing is limiting your resonance potential of your larynx. So the tongue should be forward and high. The tongue isn't part of this exercise. Part of the whole reason for training the voice is to get the tongue out of any necessarily deepening laryngeal position. Does that make sense? I hope it does. No, we are not using the tongue to lower the larynx at all. So the tongue isn't part of this. The tongue is forward and high and out of the way. The second thing is we need to make sure that the ribs are expanding correctly on inhalation because we want to be supplying breath. I'm a huge believer in back support, in back breath support. 70% of the connective tissues are connected, of the diaphragm are connected to the back ribs. So we want to have a feeling that as we breathe in, this expands. Now, you can see I'm not doing that with my in-breath. I'm not getting that lower position through breathing low. It's just as important to have the east to west of the pillars of forces at the top of the mouth as it is to really lower the larynx and open the SCM muscles here. That's what happens. So my shoulders are going to go up and forward slightly, and my back is going to expand that way at the back. Now, as I sing out, keeping this nice open apoggia, this floating free apoggia position, I'm not going to drop, I'm not going to force, I'm not going to press, I'm just going to be open, and the breath is going to go back to where it wants to go. I am supplying breath. I'm supplying breath into my free larynx. My in-breath has made the position that I want to resonate in, and I'm going to sing out. And the last thing to say, I think, about that's really important, as you come down, you don't then lift your larynx. You sing in the lower laryngeal position all the way. So that my last is in a nice low position. It was Melocchi, I think, who talked about the importance of not really moving, of being quite consistently still in your vocal positioning. That's not to say it's static or held. It's free and open and flexible, but I'm not. No, I'm. Because now I can breathe in. I can keep breathing into that space. I'm reinforcing that nice, gentle lowering of the larynx. As I said, this isn't Melocchi where we're actively and aggressively pushing the larynx down. This is gently encouraging a lower laryngeal position that's connected to a proper in-breath, which is lowering my laryngeal position on the in-breath and is keeping it there, not with any supraglottal pressure, not with the tongue pushing down, but by a gentle understanding of how to use the ribs of my supporting ribs, the freedom in my diaphragm. I think Carl Stahl, David L. Jones talks about this, the double glide. As you sing out, the ribs come back and the diaphragm moves up. That's that double glide movement, yeah? Now, that's the Caruso scale, R, or O on a 9-note scale. But we can take it further. I like to encourage my ribs to have a bit more exercise with this. So I like to do this version of it. I'll do the first twice, and then I go up, and then I come down, and then I go up, and then I go down again. So the whole thing sounds like this. Because then I sung a long phrase, I've got to the end of the phrase, and I need to have my in-breath, which doesn't disturb. Now, a lot of singers, when they do a long phrase, get to the end of the X scale, and they hold on the glottal, and and they gasp for air. That's encouraging a tight vocal attack on the next onset. Yeah, the offset and the onset become tight. So I like to finish it. Without every orange onset that we've talked about in past videos. You can also do this. I won't do the whole exercise, but at the top, if you don't want to do a ninth, you can add a little flourish. You can go. You can go up to go up to the fourth above the octave if you like to as well. So that's an F for me. That's going into my high note. I'm a higher baritone, but going into an F is sort of past the passaggio into the high note. If I set this exercise up correctly, I don't feel a gear change. I don't feel a I don't feel that I have to do anything with my throat. My larynx is gliding forward and down as I'm going up that scale because I've set it up correctly on the in-breath. And that's what got me really cross this morning when I watched various videos on YouTube with vocal educators who have huge vocal YouTube followers who are not explaining the mechanics behind it. Singing the vowels is not enough. You have to be explained in a way that you can understand why singing the vowels and how to sing the vowels is important. I was always taught that us singing teachers need to have loads of different ways of explaining something. So if something I've said to you today, if you haven't understood it, then please get in touch with me and I'll try to explain it in a different way. Believe me, I've got lots of different ways to explain these exercises. So that's my video today, the Caruso scale. As I said, it's something that I sing a lot. No teacher has ever really worked on this scale with me, which is why I've done it in this exercise. But my teachers certainly employ the ideas behind this. All great vocal exercises can be adapted to suit the pupil and should be adapted to suit the pupil. We're never dogmatic about how we teach. If you don't fit the rules, then we can change the rules to find a better way to develop your voice. But the singer teacher has to be flexible and has to understand that all we're trying to do is get the maximum, most beautiful sound from the pupil. I believe the Caruso scale is an exercise you can do over and over again. You can sing it all day. You can sing it when you're walking around the supermarket. You can sing in the shower. You can sing it in the car. You can sing it outside the school gates while you're waiting to pick up your kid. No one cares. People want to hear a lovely voice. Let me know what you think. I'm going to be moving more into technical videos like this, where we talk about various technical elements. But the most important thing that I want to stress is all of these exercises should be performed whilst also having singing lessons. You cannot learn to sing watching YouTube videos. You need another pair of ears to listen to. If you would like that to be me, I teach singers all over the world on Zoom, and I love it, and I'm passionate about it, and I'm having huge success at the moment. A couple of my pupils are doing really well, singing at the Met and Covent Garden and English National Opera, so I'm really excited about that. Or find another teacher. Never go for a singing teacher who is desperate for pupils. A singing teacher should do it for the love of it. If you want to send me a consult, if you want to send me a video of yourself singing, then do that, and I'll give you a free, no commitment, no stress assessment of your voice. I always do that. I love helping young voices. I've got my Jussi Björling tribute video coming out next week. I'm really proud of. No, this week. Sorry, this Friday. I'm really proud of that. I love Jussi singing. Loads of exciting things coming up. We're pushing 1,000 subscribers. This channel is really growing. Thank you so much. And now I'm waffling, so I'm going to say goodbye and have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for watching.